It's so good to see you. Welcome to another episode here today with the Audi Q5 Sportback, that cut-off version of the Q5. Also profiting from the recent Q5 facelift. So no matter if you're interested in the normal Q5 or here in the new Q5 Sportback, will be very useful for you. Information on exterior, interior and the driving experience. With this vehicle, Audi finally wants to attack the BMW X4 or the Mercedes GLC Coupe. Will it work? We'll find out together in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Here in the front, the updated Q5 and the new Q5 Sportback. They look pretty much the same in the front. Huge single frame grille, high gloss black. In this case, this is the S-Line exterior package, so sporty styling also here with this graphic. Quantum Grey is the color for today with our main vehicle, but we also have some shots of the Glacier White for you, or the very interesting Ultra Blue. Comes close to our Thomas Blue, we call our channel here because that's my favorite color, and a very spectacular Dragon Orange. Very interesting. But this one here, the Quantum Grey, also very interesting, and the daytime running light here with the interesting modern structure. Then the normal headlamp unit, LED, is standard. Optional, you can also get the Matrix LED. You can also see it right here for elaborated high beam function. The length is at 4.69 meters, 15'4" or 185 inches. Wheels start a little bit bigger than with the normal Q5. With the normal Q5, 17-inch would be the entry wheel size. Here directly with 18-inch. These are the optional 19-inch wheels. Maximum would be 21-inch. Again, S-Line exterior styling, so a little bit sportier. You can also get, for example, a black pack. You can see here in the exterior mirror caps are in black. Then you can later also get black Audi rings in an extended black pack, for example. The wheel arches, you can get them, for example, in vehicle color, but here they're contrasted, but here painted contrast. So not a plain black, but a painted black then. So nice and sporty, very elegant style at the same time. And of course, a special thing here with the Sportback version is this falling roofline and this coupe cut-off style. And there's always discussion, can something like this be called coupe? Well, if you take just a French word from it, it means cut, and then you can actually do that. It's just depending on how close you draw this definition. The question is really, do you like it more than the Q5 SUV? Is this your favorite? Or would you say, nah, rather not? Also interesting to have this 3/4 rear perspective, definitely. And talking about the suspensions, usually with the normal Q5 you get a base suspension. With the Q5 Sportback you automatically get the fixed sport suspension as standard, but then you can de-pick it and go for the standard suspension. And I would also advise you to go for that. Or if you want to spend some more money, Euro prices about 1,000 euros extra, the adaptive suspension, or for 2,000 euros extra, the adaptive air suspension, which we also have in this very vehicle here today. This will then deliver the most comfort. And for the rear here, this is special new with the Q5 Sportback. You can also get organic LED, so OLED. This is another option then. It looks really flat here from this rear graphic, and you can get them in 3 different stylings. You really order them literally when you get your vehicle and you have this OLED option, 3 different signatures. And they also have additional functionality when a vehicle is approaching, for example. So I'm simulating a vehicle now. So you can see when I'm standing in front of the car that would be approaching a vehicle, this graphic is changing. You see here? There it is. So very interesting thing, and this is another vision. For example, we heard that from different manufacturers that cars are being able to communicate a little bit with the outside world with light signatures. This could be one step in that direction. And I know you always love to see the turning indicators, here also in a cascading style. And here the front turning indicators, or also when you activate the hazard lights, always a spectacular feature here in this high trim. As for engines, you get 2-liter 4-cylinders or 3-liter 6-cylinders, both for petrol and diesel. And for the petrol side, also plug-in hybrid versions. Today we have the 2-liter TFSI, 265 horsepower, 6.1 seconds is the acceleration figure, so a strong 4-cylinder engine, 2-liter of displacement. And the smaller engines have the Quattro Ultra all-wheel drive, so that means front plus rear on demand, and the rear can be actually decoupled for fuel savings. And the bigger engines, the 3-liter engines, they have the classic Quattro with 40% front, 60% rear, standard distribution and a center differential. So the SQ5 versions for the US, for example, or for Russia will be the 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol engine. The SQ5 for Europe will still be the SQ5 diesel then, with fake exhaust tips, and you can see it right there. There it is. That's the one in Dragon Orange, the SQ5 diesel. As I said, fake exhaust tips, and yeah, just the diesel for the sports version. Probably if I would go for an SQ5, I would still try to get a petrol one, but again, in Europe, not possible anymore. Main engine will, however, be rather this one here, the 2-liter TFSI. And what's also interesting, next to the plug-in hybrid versions, all the other engines, except the 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol engine, all others come now with mild hybrid technology. That means some recuperation is possible, and that energy is then used for this sailing or coasting function that you can roll with the vehicle. And the electric consumers also use that recuperated energy then. So for some fuel savings, Audi promised about like half a liter on 1 kilometers. Not sure if that is really realistic. However, the small engines, 12-volt board net, and the big 3-liter engines, 48-volt board net, then with a little bit more recuperation possibility. This is the car key here, slim and light, one of my favorite car keys. It also looks quite fancy. It's not the newest one, but still one of my favorite ones somehow. Door closing sound. Very solid, like that. And then inside of the doors, right here with a matte wood insert. And then this material here in the top, it's somewhat hard, somewhat soft. It's in between, so it's not entirely hard, but not entirely soft. But you can see it's from that whole material then all the way through. So yeah, it's a step forward to the initial Q5 version, where this was definitely harder. Meanwhile, I think it's okay. Then here's an S-Line entry badge. You can see it right there. And we don't have the S-Line steering wheel, however, here. It's a normal steering wheel. There's also a sporty one with a flat button available. But overall, interesting, nice buttons right here to control the digital instruments. Right side then for the volume. Here we can also see the 12.3-inch digital instruments. Base, however, would be analog instruments with a 5-inch screen. This then is an option. And seating-wise, these are the sport seats. You can get normal seats and sport seats. Sport seats are here. They have more shoulder form right here. The normal seat would rather go straight. And then in Europe, we have fabric surfaces, both for normal and sport seats. Of course, the best for summer and winter time then, climate-wise. Not available in the US, however. And then another choice would be is a mix of animal skin and leatherette. but the main part then would be animal skin, sadly. And then there are also microfiber combinations, for example, with microfiber on the inside. We also have some shots for you for that. And on the outside then some leatherette and also animal skin mix. However, animal-free, only the pure fabric seats so far. So Audi needs to deliver some more alternatives there, especially also for the US market. Then getting inside, it's actually a nice seating position right here. You can put that front part a little bit longer. In this case here, a manual seat with an electric lumbar support. The sport seats give you a little bit more support here, but it doesn't mean that they're more comfortable. So the other ones are a little bit more open. Also depends on your personal preference. Then still a lot of headroom left. 1.86 m or 6'1" is my height, no problem. You can also go for a panoramic roof as an option. Then the steering wheel can be put up and down, in and out, easy and smooth process. And the overall impression of the build quality, once again, very good here with Audi. And, it doesn't change anything that this car here is built in Mexico. Interior overview, I think it's a straightforward design. First of all, this dashboard material is also, again, like the inside of the doors, not entirely soft, not entirely hard, something in between. Then a nice wood insert here. Different stylings available. And then this new 10.1-inch screen, also for the Q5 SUV facelift. This replaced the solution with the MMI knob in the middle console, because this is all via touch now. And always this size, finally, just one size for the screen. That makes it definitely easier. But the GPS is still optional, and over 2,000 euros extra for that, for the GPS functionality. I think that's a little bit tough on the customer, isn't it? And also the smartphone interface, about 800 euros for the Apple CarPlay and the Android Auto support. Come on, what extra price policy is that? So, and then you can really enjoy that extra price with the Apple CarPlay, definitely here. The integration is actually quite well done. There we go, and let's listen to that sound system here. Yeah, that's nice. Different sound systems available. This is even not the most premium one we have here, and this already sounds quite nice. So, there we have it. You've seen this, when we have the maps in the CarPlay mode, we have seen the GPS right here, and this menu structure there, the main menu structure, is actually quite good in the overview. You can also have this one here and then individualize also what you want to have on the left side. And here in this car menu, for example, you can also go to the drive select, and when you have the air suspension, the car also goes down at higher speeds, or you can lift it up, for example, also in the all-road or in the off-road mode, so you're a little bit more flexible as for this. And on the left side, as I said, 5-inch in the middle part would be standard and analog on the outside. These here are the optional 12.3-inch digital instruments, and you can have different views. For example, you have this classic view, only the RPM meter changes a little bit in this sport view. Then you have red RPM area, or you can also have this new dynamic view. This looks more textile, but I think, not really good, right? This sport view is the coolest, I think, with these round gauges. And then you can always use the view button at the steering wheel to have this kind of view, or like this. And you can also, that's the biggest advantage of the digital instruments, have the map in the middle part and then go like this. So the map all over the place. This is the biggest advantage. Two more options for this vehicle. A head-up display is option, and also this climate unit is an option. The normal climate unit would be just with manual controls, which is also totally okay. And this one here is actually my favorite climate unit in all the automotive industry. Still good that we have it right here. The all-new Audis with the all-new platforms and so on are touched also then with the climate unit here. Such a nice clicking sound here for this metal knurled climate unit, and also here the seat heating. This is actually very straightforward, and here then also with this capacitive function somewhat for these options, but also still menu control, so easy and straightforward and very stylish and elegant. Sadly, these solutions will most probably disappear at some point. But other manufacturers like Honda, for example, also went back to manual climate controls because customers just demanded. Drive select in the lower area, also with this, hard button here, not only possible with the touchscreen. And then the lower part, you can either use a cable connection for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but they planned this platform here, as the smartphones weren't that big, you can see it here, so that the CarPlay and the Android Auto also works wireless. In this case, it's a good solution because then you can put that one out right here and put your smartphone somewhere else. Not necessarily here. Also not where the key is. Still manual volume knob right here. Then the shifting lever here, depending on if you have the dual clutch transmission or the converter automatic gearbox in the bigger engines. And then this would be, for example, the inductive charging pad right here. So this could be a good place to put your phone. There's schmoozy. And then you can put this one here up, this armrest, very well attached. And underneath, we can then slide this inductive charging pad for cup holders. This is possible. And another USB-C charger. Ambient lighting is also available here at the moment in blue. Of course, you can better see it when it's all dark, but also different colors can be chosen. As for the rear, what compromise is there? First of all, you also have that same material here in the back part. Again, somewhat hard, not entirely hard. Then here, nice bright microfiber insert, and once again the matte wood. And you can see there's not much legroom left. So then let's get inside here in the rear. And as you can see, not too much legroom left. It evenly fits with my, with my size and my height, and when I'm driving right here in the front. So the sport seat's also a little bit more voluminous. Headroom, however, there's actually no problem, so there's hardly a compromise there. So the falling roofline doesn't have a great negative effect on that. You sit quite comfortably here. It's just that the legroom is quite close, so if you want more legroom, you would need to go a class higher. You can also put that seat here more forward, but that would not be recommended, or backward then, depending on the trunk space. And here you can adjust the back part of the seat or also fold it completely. That would be possible from here. Isofix at the outsides each. In the middle part you can also sit. There's a middle tunnel, however, and yeah, it's actually quite possible. No problem. Then you have two USB-A chargers here in the middle part and an additional climate unit with nice clicking sound here in the rear too. Yeah, I love that with the, let's say, this generation of Audi vehicles. So newer ones often have less buttons, of course. And then here, middle armrest, adaptive cup holders, nicely done. And you can also move that whole stuff as a ski hatch then to reach through right here. And now to the trunk area. Special always with all Q5, both SUV and Sportback. Here, the whole light lifts up, and then you have this open space area here. That is kind of quite a distinctive look. And then here, this cover with rails, nice left and right. And then when you have the air suspension, you can also lower the vehicle for a lower loading height. 510 liters, that means you lose about 40 liters in comparison to the SUV version. So here, cut off a little bit here, but you can still see you can use it very well. The only thing that would not be possible is put the backpack here, but that's the only thing, So you're actually still quite well off. Then you can also fold the seats and reach a maximum capacity of a little bit less than 1,500 liters. So with the SUV, it would be more than 1,500 liters. You need to push them down here like this. And there we go. And this is then the maximum setup. So still very well usable. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the new Audi Q5 Sportback. We're in Ingolstadt here today, Audi's heartland, so to speak, at the Audi Piazza. We've been there a couple of times to do some shootings. So the Q5 and the Q5 Sportback, they are of course pretty much the same as for driving. I can already tell you so far. If you would tell me now I'm in a Q5 SUV, I couldn't deny it really. So that it's cut off there in the back, we don't really feel that. Rather, it's about the suspension choice, and we do have the adaptive air suspension here today. as I said earlier, would not go for the fixed sport suspension, which is standard for the Q5 Sportback. De-pick it and go for the base suspension if you want the most cost-effective option, or non-option. And if you go for the adaptive suspension, €1,000 extra, I think that's a clever choice, because that extra is still, quite okay for the price, and you get some additional comfort. Here, the adaptive air suspension is, of course, even more expensive than as the option, but still, as I said, the adaptive suspension choices both are not that expensive if you compare it to other expensive options. So I think you can still live with that. Here, the air suspension is, however, not that soft that you would feel like a Mercedes air suspension, where you really feel like it would be like this flying carpet ride. The air suspension that Audi is using is here, still, sporty, I would say. Well, it's a camo vehicle. I think one of the electric ones, the new ones. So here, when you go in slalom, it doesn't shake up too much. I think it's overall good compromise. Also very silent, so a good noise insulation here. Good overview to the rear, to the sides as well. We also have the blind spot monitor included here in the side mirror. At some point you can probably also see that in action. Good feeling in general also of the brakes and also of the steering. It's very precise and direct, no dead zone area for that. So already in a non-sporty version, it feels actually quite sporty. So if you also compare it to the competitors, the ride is quite sporty, I have to say. Stiff is rather this seating surface here with the animal skin. So if you have one of the fabric seats or the microfiber seats, which I would recommend also for the seating comfort, because especially the back area here, this area here behind your back, this is really very stiff than here in the animal skin option. You have it right there. When you want to accelerate a little bit faster, you can always go to the S shifting mode, by the way, then it turns up the gears a little bit higher. But in general, this 2-liter TFSI is rather silent. You hardly hear that engine working. It's really, really smooth to control that. Clicking sound from the indicators also feels pretty sophisticated. And the car feels a little bit smaller than it actually is due to the precise steering, good noise insulation, and this engine is also very, very responsive. So if you go for the non-SQ models, for the normal Q5, but still want the sportiest choice among the non-SQ version, then this engine here would be the sportiest choice, definitely. 6.1 seconds in the acceleration figure. That's actually pretty quick, and again, also responsive. Mild hybrid system is rather something than for the sailing or coasting function. It does not drive all electric, also not for short terms, so that's not how the mild hybrid system here works. The next generation of mild hybrid systems will be able to do that, actually. As for the driving modes, you can also go, for example, to the dynamic mode. In the dynamic mode, the air suspension goes a little bit down, also a little bit stiffer then, and then you have more responsiveness also from the throttle input and so on. So why not for sporty situations if you want to have a little bit more driving fun. And also the gears are shifted up later and shifted down earlier. Again here, when I'm at 70 kilometers an hour and accelerate to 100, plop that it's really responsive once again, and we hear a little bit more sound now, and once again very well in control. Now a little bit stiffer as for suspension. A very good and smooth ride, definitely pretty cool. We can also set the cruise control here. Adaptive cruise control is in there, and it's also with predictive functions, so it also counts with map data and so on, that it reduces the speed in front of a roundabout, for example. If you have the most elaborated assistance systems function, then also there's a capacitive steering wheel. If you also turn on the lane assist, which you can do it right here with your left index finger, and then there's also the capacitive function for the steering wheel, so the car realizes that you're still there just by touching the steering wheel, and you don't have to have a steering input there, for example. So here you can see the speed has been reduced with the adaptive cruise control. All the assistance systems work pretty much flawless here in this vehicle. Always nice to have the view of the map in the virtual cockpit. That's definitely always very helpful. Head-up display is an option for this vehicle. We do not have it in this very car here, but the virtual instruments also do just fine. However, head-up display is always an interesting option, that you can just have the speed in your line of sight. Also definitely a safety thing. So one thing there is to criticize, however, I can zero out this consumption meter, however, but we always scored quite high consumption figures here with this vehicle. And also here, just with the 2 TFSI, yes, it's a higher horsepower output. It's not the smallest SUV. But if you have normal consumption figures, it can be at some point also 2-digit liter figures here. We will watch it again for this test here today and then tell you the figure later on. Last time we've been driving the 2 liter TFSI in a normal Q5, we were rather at about 10 liters per 100 kilometers, and that's of course not really acceptable, and it also seems that we end about that one once again here today. Stuck here behind this truck. It's actually quite okay in this vehicle because it brings you also silence and just calmness in here. Once again, really satisfied with the noise insulation. That's one of the best things about this vehicle. And the overview, as you sit here in these seats, is also pretty cool. Again, to me, the biggest hindrance in this vehicle at the moment is the stiff seat material, which really reduces the comfort. The suspension itself is really awesome, and even in the sports mode, it's totally fine. However, if you are in the normal auto mode, then the suspension is even better as for the air suspension. You can also use a normal kickdown, for example, when you're not in dynamic mode. You can use the shifting pedals here, or you can pull the shifting lever to this backwards. Then you're in the S shifting mode. Then suspension and so on remains all the same in the normal soft mode. Just the shifting is set on a sportier mode. Or then use the shifting pedals right here, go into this manual shifting mode. Then you have a nicer boost because you're already in a lower gear and you can directly accelerate out. This can be definitely very helpful. Here in the auto driving mode, then the car is a little bit softer again from the suspension, but you can still have a lot of fun in the slalom. So if you compare it also to the competitors, the Audi Q5 always has a nice balance between sportiness and comfort. That's where Audi is positioning themselves. Maybe a little bit more in the sporty direction, where the normal Mercedes more goes into the comfortable direction. The BMW always goes in the sporty direction. And then the Mercedes AMG models are sportier than the other models, or that's also, let's say, stiffer. So Mercedes has the biggest variety span, so to say, from soft to really stiff and nothing in between. And Audi and BMW are somewhat in between. But it's also, again, always a matter of, preference, definitely. So we just been cruising here a little bit, also with some downhill. Then we can also score some 7 liters on 1 kilometers. What that would be like the absolute minimum figure. Now we're getting to the motorway and have another acceleration, and the consumption, of course, will rather go up. And I'll keep you updated with the final consumption at the later stage. Always interesting to drive the German motorway, definitely, because we have a more better acceleration figure or situation, and we can also test it well about noise insulation at really high speeds. That's then a very good test. So we'll head on that right now. Here we are on the motorway. We go to the dynamic mode to get more boost from that. And then we can also accelerate on the motorway and also overtake this truck A, always, by the way, in Germany for trucks that carry garbage. So that's 150 kilometers an hour. We leave that. X5 passed. And wow, noise insulation, superb. And again, the engine was also quite quick. Now at 160 kilometers an hour, really so silent and very stable here. What a good ride here, also at higher speeds. And you forget that you're driving an SUV. It could also just be a sporty sedan or something. And lane change here at higher speeds, super stable. Wow, that's really, really nice. Lane change back once again. Awesome. 160 kilometers an hour once again. Even going a little bit faster, so wow. So definitely among the most silent mid-side SUVs. Proves my point again that the noise now at 180 kilometers an hour, the wind noise is starting to pick up, but that's like nothing. Really, really interesting, pretty cool. Lane change once again, good control of the steering input. What a flawless ride here on the motorway, and it's not a very, very low sitting car, you know. Also, if you think about a normal sport suspension, for example, here in the Audi Q5 and the Audi Q5 Sportback, they do not put the car lower. So when you go for a sport suspension, it means the suspension setup is stiffer but not lower. Very interesting as well. Oh, there's an old police look still with the green look. Meanwhile, we have also the blue look for the police right here. And yeah, when you drive 160 kilometers an hour and you pass a police vehicle, you always feel like, am I doing something wrong? I mean, it will be more like for non-Germans driving in Germany, when you have some motorway paths where you have unlimited speed, you feel like, am I really doing something that is allowed here? Yeah, sometimes it's allowed, still in many other cases not. So what a good, almost motorway racing vehicle, I have to say. Good noise insulation, great power from that engine, and really, really always in control. So yeah, that's really, really nice. And yeah, consumption of course went all the way up then here again. Winter times also not good for the economy. Now we're at about 14 liters with this high speed and harsh acceleration and so on. But what we can do is zero it out again, go to the normal driving mode and see what kind of consumption can we score when we go just cruise control on the motorway. That's always a good hint of, what's actually possible. Here also a little bit going up and down. And we go into the middle lane or the right lane when we have the chance to. Sometimes it's just safer to stay in the left one and power it a little bit more through. And even if I pick up the speed once again, goes to gear lower, once again we have better acceleration. So now we go into this middle lane, pull it to a nice 130 kilometers an hour, average speed here, zero it out and then see what the car will do right here. Once again, very relaxing then to put it to the cruise control. And I didn't really pay attention to it. Did we see the blind spot monitor? I think we just did, right? When the other car was passing us. So it's very well integrated in that side mirror. It's a very, very interesting solution. The B-pillar is quite thick, so having the blind spot monitor is always a good and nice idea. Yeah, and indeed, consumption shows here, something 10 liters to 1 kilometers. We'll get down a little bit more when we drive downhill, but something 8 to 9 liters to 1 kilometers you always have to calculate with. So, something 30 mpg you can approximately calculate with. A little bit less in most cases. So these are our impressions here for today. Again, Q5 Sportback. It doesn't make a big difference in driving. It's a very convincing driving. Best is the noise insulation, great steering input, good power from the engine. But even though we have new mild hybrid system here, consumption is still quite high. And now to our conclusion for today with the new Audi Q5 Sportback. Well, it took them quite a while to put a competitor up against the GLC Coupe and the BMW X4. Does it make sense? I mean, the others do it, so It's no wonder they also do it, just actually quite late. If it's something for you, it's really matter of personal taste, because this cut-off style, some love it and appreciate it to drive a like sensual coupe style, but in a put-up style, and some others hate it. For me personally, I would usually go for the normal SUV styling just to have a little bit more versatility, and I also think it's just, to me, better in styling, but it's totally up to you what's better than for you. What you lose in, everyday usability is quite limited, so it's okay. A little bit of height then in the back of the trunk, but you can easily live with that. Also driving-wise, normal Q5 and the Q5 Sportback is quite equal. The good thing here about the Q5 in general is that you have a nice sporty ride already from the base version. At the same time, a good comfort, and especially if you go for this optional air suspension, which can do both. Actually, a nice, comfortable ride and sporty, just on demand on the button to make it a little bit stiffer then. I would not go for the fixed sport suspension, which comes standard here for the Q5 Sportback. But as I said earlier, you can de-pick it just without any extra price, or then go for the adaptive suspension, or here for the adaptive air suspension. That would be our comfort tip for today. And in comparison to other extra options, the suspension options are not that expensive. I do criticize the expensive options for the smartphone interface and for the GPS. These are too expensive than actually as options. Interior, very good build quality, so satisfied with that. Now set all on the touchscreen then in the middle, so upgraded in the infotainment. Yeah, if you use the knob in the middle part that was there before, some do miss it now. But then again, the manual structure in the touchscreen is also quite easy and simple. Especially for non-European markets, more animal skin alternatives are missing. Here in Europe, we can easily get some nice fabric seats. Other markets cannot, so Audi needs to upgrade there. Other than that, overall, it's still among the best compact SUVs or mid-size SUVs, depending on which market you order this size in right there. So overall, very good vehicle, no doubt about that. Different structures we present to you today, what you can do with this vehicle, all of the options and so on. So huge option list, and that's always then with Audi. If you think about prices ranging from over 50,000 to 65,000, then even more with extra equipment, easily get 70,000 euros and so on. Very expensive, definitely. So I hope we could give you good advice of which options you can just leave aside and which you should really go for. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's great that you've been with us in these still very strange and tough times. Stick with us. See you next time.